Yay, and we're live. So, welcome to another edition of the First Division podcast. And I wanted to read an interesting quote that I read, and it's about traveling. And the quote goes, it says, "Traveling, it leaves you speechless, then turns you into a storyteller." And this quote was by I'm gonna butcher the name, but I think it's Ibn Battuta. And I don't know, Drew. What's up, man? What do you think about that quote?
Oh, that's an interesting quote, but it sounds true to me. What about you?
I think so. I think because you travel all around the world or to different places, and the first if you've never been there, and the first thing that you see, it kind of like shocks you, so you don't have any kind of opinion, and then afterwards you'll be able to tell like people and your friends and family about your experience on your travels. I think it's a good quote.
Yeah, that's very true. And then you'll have a different experience every visit.
Yeah, exactly. Because everywhere
That's
you go, you
why
have a different
people like
experience.
to travel. Yeah, travel.
Yeah. Why do you think? Why do you think people like to travel? For what do you think?
I don't. You know what? That's a good question. I think some people don't care as much because I know some people back here at home in California, relatives and stuff like that. They've never really been anywhere or whatever, unless they were in like the military or something. But other than that, people didn't really travel or like kind of stayed around their hometown their whole life. So other people they want to see the world. Other people want to go live there. Other people maybe go for a sport. Maybe they go for a job, school. There's so many options. But I'm sure it is to see more of the world, right? Why else would you leave your area?
Yeah, I think for me, like I think that traveling is a that's a good point. I think traveling is a great way to learn more about the earth, basically, where we live. We live on a if we live on a planet that is, so big, why wouldn't you, if you had the opportunity to explore the this realm that we live in? I think it's a great way to see different people, different cultures, different lands, different parts of the world that all humans kind of share. I think it's a great way to kind of experience, to kind of enhance our human experience.
Yeah,
And
I agree. There's not
without
everywhere the
that,
same.
yeah, you get kind of like a limited experience in your life.
Yeah, and money too, because you're not going to be able to just travel. Some people are blessed, they make a lot of money. Some people don't. Some people go through other opportunities. And maybe some people just never get to travel. But yeah, that's true.
Yeah, do you think that that's a good point. I mean, I don't know, like unfortunately traveling is so expensive. I mean, do you think or do we think that it's kind of like a only for the rich
Luxury.
to travel, or should it be traveling should be accessible for everybody?
Yeah, it should be accessible. They probably do like that because what, you're going to have homeless people and travel everywhere? I'm not against that. But I'm just saying then it just gives more, or it gives more opportunity for just maybe people that aren't going to do good, when they get to the other place. Just stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah,
more person of the right thing that has like a job's got stuff going together or going for them, and just you know what I'm saying? Because you know what I mean, kind
so
of.
like traveling is more for like people who are more responsible in their life, like that they can
Yeah,
afford
that's yeah,
to kind of behave in a different part of the world that they're not usually accustomed to. Or
not everybody, but you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's an
Majority of
interesting.
people are.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because because I think uh, immigrating or emigrating is different than traveling. I think you do. I think you people travel for pleasure, whereas if you're emigrating or
Yeah,
immigrating, you're leaving your country or place of living for a particular purpose to live in another place.
that sounds good.
You know what's interesting is you know when you uh, cross borders, for example, if you're going by train or if you're walking, for example, everybody has to check your passport and make sure that you're able to enter the country, you know, that you're
Yeah,
entering. I wonder who made up the rules about international airlines because airplanes can fly to any airport without any problems. It's real interesting. Airplanes
they
can
get
fly
to check in.
anywhere.
You mean? Yeah, but they can only land in certain places,
Well,
which is
yeah,
an airport.
but yeah, I know. But for example, if you're like flying, right? Like if you're a company owner, like you own Delta Airlines, your airplanes can fly almost to any airport in the world.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's crazy,
That's kind of
huh?
cool. Yeah, that's crazy. But people
That
can't
is
move that
president.
freely. Airlines have more freedom than people going to different countries, you know?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Some people can't do that. They'll take the bus. You know, they can maybe take the bus to another state or something. They're not gonna be able to get it. Or they don't have like, dude, there's so many things. Or they don't have like a visa. So
Is that
they have to have
offered?
a
Like,
felony.
well, if you're a felony, I don't think they wouldn't even put you on an airplane.
I don't think so. Either. What were you gonna say though?
No, I was going to say, is there like for people who want to take a bus to, for example, if people want to take the bus from LA to Florida, is there like a possibility to do that?
I think you can. You just have to go through the main sections, but you probably take multiple buses. So then go to Texas and maybe Texas to there, and you know what I mean?
That would be an interesting trip.
That'd be a crazy trip. It would be a long trip, dude.
Yeah.
I'd rather take the train.
Have you ever taken the train?
Yeah, I was taking Germany all the time
Mm, no, but I mean in the
for
US.
practice. Uh, yes, I have, but just not
What,
across country like that.
really? You've taken the train? That's cool. Where did you take the train to?
From here in like St. Demas or Pasadena all the way to LA
Nice. That's
or
cool.
Covina, LA.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no,
cool.
it's fun.
You meet a
I
lot of
had a good
characters
time.
on the train, man.
Yeah, you know, yeah, you do. See
I've
some.
taken a train from LA to Boston. And
Yeah, that's
that
very, very interesting.
yeah, that was interesting, man. You it starts in LA and it goes to Fullerton. So I got on the train at Fullerton and it goes through, if I remember correctly, it goes through California, a little bit of Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and then it makes its way through Missouri and to Chicago. And it takes about 3 days to get there. And I recommend that you get some kind of a room that you can sleep on, like you can make a bed out of it. Because if you're if you're sitting up for 3 days, you will go crazy. You'll kill yourself because it's crazy. And then through Chicago, then you go to Ohio, Indiana, a little bit of Pennsylvania, New York, and then Boston. And it takes about 4 days to complete the trip. And the great thing about it is you see most of the countryside, you see how diverse the US is, and you meet a whole bunch of people. Like for example, in New Mexico, we met a lot of Native American people, Colorado Native American people, Indiana and Pennsylvania. We started seeing Amish people, and it was that was a really awesome train trip.
Damn, diverse people, man.
Yeah, every state was diverse, and it wasn't the same. I was the only kind of person that stayed on the train the whole time, but yeah, but everybody was different. It was great. It was a great experience. It was, and I remember I met some like teenagers from Indiana, and it was, I think it was Saturday night that I was on the train. And it was Sunday morning, and these teenagers were from Indiana. They said like they were traveling to a different city in Indiana, and they said they were having a conversation, and we were having a conversation. I asked them, what did you do last night? You know, before you got on the train. And the guy was said, "Oh, it was a pretty good night. It was a pretty good Saturday night." I said, "Well, what did you do?" And he said, "Yeah, me and a couple friends, we got together and we went out into the backyard and we were started shooting watermelons." And I was like, that sounds like a pretty good Saturday night. And he's like, "Yeah, man, that's the best night ever, man. We were shooting watermelons in my back garden, you know."
What the heck?
Yeah, they were so
Yeah,
excited
that's
that
what
they
I'm
were.
saying. It's not the same as over here.
No. So I'm on a
It's like
train
it's weird
stuck.
if you did
I'm stuck on a train with them. So what I'm gonna say that it was like that sounds like a terrible Saturday night. So no, I just said it was a good Saturday night, and I went to go have a beer in the bar car.
that. Yeah, just get away from them or what?
Yeah, man. I said, yeah, that sounds cool. You were shooting watermelons, and I said, well, I'm gonna go have a Corona now. So I'll catch you later.
They're probably like, what? How old were they?
They were probably 18, 19,
So
maybe younger,
teenagers.
16, 17, 18. I don't know, something like that.
Probably had to be a little bit older unless their parents let them shoot guns at. No, maybe back there they probably shoot guns younger.
Probably in Indiana, it's a little bit. It might be a little bit different. I don't know.
For sure, I guarantee it probably is.
Yeah, so that was cool, but to see the countryside there, but that was amazing. Yeah, I recommend that.
Which
I
place could
recommend that.
you see? Where could you see yourself living?
If I was picking some of those states that we were passing through, for example,
Yeah, where
yeah,
could you?
if I didn't move to the Czech Republic, I would be like, I don't know. I kind of liked Colorado for the outdoors, you know.
Yeah,
Colorado's kind of nice for the outdoors kind of thing. Or I kind of liked. I couldn't live in Missouri. It's too agricultural for me. There was a lot of farms. That wasn't for me. Chicago, maybe if I was living in maybe if I was living like outside of Chicago, but close enough,
to the
I could
city.
probably live there. But
Chicago's crazy.
yeah, Chicago is crazy, man. Have you ever been
I
to
wouldn't want to
Chicago?
live there. No, I have not. But my best at the time, my best friend lived there for a long time. I was supposed to go out there, just never made it out there.
Yeah, when when we got into Chicago from the train, I, I forgot. No, it was when I was going to Boston, and the train pulled into Union Station, which is the main station kind of in Chicago, and we got there about 9 in the morning, and the train that I was supposed to leave to Boston didn't leave till about 9 in the morning, 9 in the evening. So I had 12 hours to kill.
Okay.
Yeah, so what to do in Chicago, right? I never been there. I didn't have a map, you know. So what I decided to do was I decided to go out of the train station and explore Chicago a little bit. So I went to go up into the what is the tower called? I have to look it up. The Black Tower in Chicago. I think it's the John Hancock building. I don't know. The Willis Towers. So I went up into the Willis Tower and to go up to the top and look down at Chicago, and that was a nice view. But that only takes like what, an hour at the most. And then uh, I want to say I was done about eating lunch, and it was about 1 o'clock, and I decided, okay, I will slowly walk back to the train station. So when I was walking back to the train station, I sat down on this ledge close to the main river that goes through the center of Chicago. I'm just sitting there minding my own business, right? And this guy, he sits next to me, right? Like oddly close, like really close to you. And I was sitting there, and I don't know, I was reading a book or something. And he says like, hey, man, hey, what's up, man? I go, oh, what's up, dude? What's going on? What's good, mate? And he goes, yeah, you got any papers? He asked me. I go, you got any papers? I didn't know what he was talking about at first, like, because I wasn't paying attention. And I was like, papers, like newspapers? I said, no, I don't got any newspapers. He's like, no, do you got any papers? I was like, finally, I figured out that he wanted papers like for smoking, either marijuana or tobacco, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, no, I don't got any of that, man. And he's like, then he started talking to me, and he was like, hey, what's your name? I go, I'm Steve. And he goes, I asked him, what's your name? And he's like, Dave, you know. And so so he's like, where are you from? And I said, like, I don't know this guy. I said, I'm from the train station. I just got here. And he goes, oh, that's cool, man. That's cool. I'm from Chicago. I was like, okay, man. And then he goes like, hey, you want to go with me, to hang out? I go, no, I don't want to go hang out with you. He's like, I know where to get the best crack, man.
What the
And
fuck?
so he's sitting there, right? And he's asking me, and he's telling me he wants to go buy some crack, you know. And I'm sitting there like, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, man, dude, I don't want to get involved with anything like this, right? And I told him, I
Mhm.
said, look, man, I got to train. I got to go. Like, I got to train in like 20 minutes. He's like, oh, that's cool, man. And he was talking about like how he broke up with his girlfriend, and that he was like married, and then he got divorced, and then he got into smoking cocaine or doing cocaine. And I said, I said, dude, thank you for telling me your story. It's very interesting, but man, I got to get out of here. And and he's like, "Oh, okay, no problem. Just thanks for listening." And then I got back into the train station, and I got on my train and I left. That was pretty crazy, man.
What the fuck? Just random.
It was fucking random, dude. Like, it was so fucking random. This random guy just came up to me, and he was asking me to buy first if I smoked or did drugs, and then if I wanted to go buy drugs with him. That was random, man.
Yeah, but how did he look though?
He was black, but that doesn't matter.
No,
But
not that. I'm saying like, how did he look? Was he raggedy? Was he dressed well? Like, how
no,
was
he
he
was like,
dressed? Like, how did he
yeah,
look?
no, he was like a, I don't know how to say it. Like his style was, he wasn't wearing a suit, but he was just wearing normal clothes, like
But he
jeans.
didn't look like a homeless person or a crackhead or fucking. He was
No,
actually
no, he
looked
didn't.
normal.
Yeah, he just looked normal. He didn't look like he didn't look like he was homeless or anything. Like, he didn't have like tattered clothes or anything. He had like store bought clothes, like normal person.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was random. It was so random, but that was crazy because he was like trying to get me involved in something in his. But I think he had like mental disabilities because he was like trying to get me involved in something that I didn't want to get involved in.
Yeah, no, hell no. You don't want to be involved with that at all.
especially when
Not
I
even
don't
if you
even.
were being a nice person.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't want to get involved in anything that he was involved in. One, because I couldn't, even if I wanted to, and two, like he was delusional. Like there was something wrong with his mental state. Like he thought I was going to get involved in his problems. Do you know what I mean?
Been smoking that shit way too long.
Yeah, man. But I didn't feel
Shit's
like
crazy.
threatened or anything. It was weird. It was like I was just talking to him. It was like normal. But then once, like we were talking about like just chit chatting. We were talking about traveling a little bit and just going and talking. And then all of a sudden he started bringing up all this drug stuff. And I was like, okay, that's where I need to pump the brakes and, trying to get my way out of this conversation.
I wonder if he was just lonely or something.
He was probably lonely and he probably thought I was lonely because I was sitting by myself.
Yeah, maybe you're just passing through, just chilling.
Yeah, I was just chilling. I think I was eating a sandwich too. So he's like, oh, this kid might be alone or,
That's the thing about traveling. You are alone,
yeah, exactly. And, and you
right?
never know
If
who,
you choose to do it like that.
and you never know who you're gonna meet, right?
No, yeah, you don't. No, that's true. I think about that. That's another aspect. Like, alone. Some people travel like for something, or some people travel in like a group. Well, yeah, it's always for something, but some people travel in a group, fucking together, like
Yeah.
party and shit. Do that way.
What do you think the end goal of traveling is? Like if you travel in a group and you go for a party somewhere, is that like the end goal that you wanted to travel to that place and have a party there? Like what is the I
I
guess
think
what
people. I think it's always the experience to see new things, but go party there. If it's your part, you want to party, then you go party there and experience your party in a different country. But people always want to see I think the what's out there or like the beauty that it has on it, for sure.
for sure. Yeah, because
Because
there's
why
some
else would they
beautiful.
travel? Otherwise, you could party anywhere else.
That's
Go
true.
experience different people and different women, different guys, stuff like that.
Yeah, especially like in a different place, right? Like so do you think that traveling kind of freeze your inhibitions from the culture that you know? Like, okay, so you travel to a different country and you're like, okay, I know that I can behave a little bit differently than because I know that I'm not going to be here that long, that I can just party and after 3 days I'm going back home and I could just put that in my back pocket.
I don't do that. I always go with my head on my shoulders and fucking the same way I would act here. I'm just gonna be low key, fucking doing my thing. I'm not trying to get in trouble or fucking push the boundaries or act like an idiot in a different place that you wouldn't where like anywhere else. You know what I mean? Why would you else at home unless you act an idiot back at home and then you're gonna go act an idiot over there? Then I guess
That's a good point.
those are
Yeah,
probably the those are probably the people that get in trouble are the ones that are the idiots that be acting the idiot over here. Maybe they don't get in trouble for that over here because you know how it is over here. You can get away with stuff, but then you go over there and you don't. They won't let you get away with that at all.
yeah. Do you think that's kind of like for me it seems like it's a little bit of an ignorance issue, like you don't the rules back at home, for example, wherever you live, right? And then like you travel to a different country and you might not know all the rules of that country, so you act a little bit differently, like not, I wouldn't say like break the rules, but you don't know that if you broke the rule or not because you don't know the rules. I think that's ignorance,
That's
kind
what you're
of.
saying.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you should at least know what you're kind of going into when you go. But if you act right, look, if you act right and you're not doing harm to people or you're not out to get ahead in a sketchy way, you'll be fine. You're not gonna, you know,
Yeah,
why
because
would you have any?
most
Why would you have any problems? You would just blend in, except for being from another country and maybe like your skin color or something. Other than that, you would just blend in as a good normal person doing the same thing that you do over here.
Yeah, because most of the rules are the same anyway. Like, for example, if you're gonna pay for, if you go to a restaurant, you pay a certain amount of money, right? You tip a little bit. If you use public transportation, you have to pay for the public transportation, and doesn't matter where you're from. If you do all that, you just blend in.
Yeah, I agree.
Uh,
I agree with you
yeah, I think.
100%. Well, some
Yeah,
places you don't have
exactly.
to tip anymore, though.
What?
You don't have to tip any, like in some countries, you don't have to tip really at
Yeah, not
restaurants.
really.
Like you just pay for the meal. It's more like the U.S. They expect a tip. It's crazy.
Well, because in the US,
And
what happens is that the waiters and the waitresses, they get paid like way below minimum wage, and then the tips are supposed to cover for that rest of the minimum wage, and then whatever you make after that is just a bonus, kind of.
I guess that makes sense. Why they get paid way more over there? Or they get
I
paid
wouldn't
like
say they get paid
straight.
way more, but they get paid a proper salary. So the tips don't really have, if you tip, like for example, a waiter or a waitress gets paid a decent amount of money per month, and then the tips that you give the waiters or the waitresses, that's just extra bonus. But if they never receive a tip, for example, they would be able to
It
live.
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. They would be able to live comfortably based on the salary.
That's crazy. Pretty
Yeah, that's
interesting,
why.
huh?
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think that that's not fair for people who work in the restaurant industry in the U.S. that they get underpaid.
Yeah, for sure. That's why. It's a lot of college students and people, unless you get wrapped up in it, that's what you're going to do for life.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why people like, kind of expect tips in the U.S. because they're like, that's part of the. If you don't tip that person, then that person can't afford their lifestyle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's
It's
crazy.
crazy. Working at a restaurant was an experience.
I can imagine how many people it must have been interesting to see the behavior of people in restaurants,
Yeah, over their food.
how people
People are,
treat other people.
yeah, that's the biggest thing. You'll see how people treat other people when it comes to your food and getting that shit in a timely manner and stuff like that. I don't know, just it's like, what do you expect? You're coming to a restaurant, you have to wait somewhat. Or like
Yeah,
one time I
exactly.
brought this tea to somebody who was like, "Oh no, take it back, it's not hot enough." I was like, "What the fuck?" So all right, I'll just fucking make that shit hot as fuck. She burned herself. It's not my fault. I told her before I gave it to her. I'm not like that, I'm not evil, but I told her, "Todd, just be careful." And then it's like, "But that's what you wanted. Am I gonna take it back and cool it down for you?" I'm not gonna do it. Then if you
No,
want it that
no.
hot, you can let it sit there and wait until it's ready.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what she wanted. But just the way she asked and how rude she was, and she was an older lady, it was just kind of appalling. It was like, really? What do
It was.
people talk to sometimes? It's crazy.
Yeah, they kind of treat you like secondhand citizens, right? Like a secondhand person. Like they can just treat you the way see, that's what I never understood. Like that concept in the US that the customer is always right. I don't believe in that. You're not always right.
Fuck that, huh?
Yeah, man. Like, come on, man. I've watched too many YouTube videos where I see all the customers acting like arrogant and just straight up like rude. Man, you're not right. Calm down.
I know, and they like sometimes they don't get away with that shit, or they calm down. free shit. It's like, you guys are crazy, dude.
Yeah,
Why would you
I
do
know.
this? And then you just benefit their fucking behavior for next time, or to even act more before we get more shit for free.
Well, you know what you're doing is you're reinforcing that rude behavior.
That's what I'm saying. Or they go do it, or if they go do it somewhere else, then they kind of realize like, oh, I could get away with this shit if they're
Yeah, and
fucking
then
that type of
I've
person.
seen I've seen YouTube videos where they start filming it and they're like, and the customers are like, this shit's going live on YouTube. Be careful what you say. Customers are always right. You're gonna be famous, and this is gonna go viral, and you're making yourself look
Like
like an
fucking
idiot.
YouTube, they grab their phone. Fuck your phone, dude. I don't care.
Fuck your phone and smack it out of their hand.
You know what? You can serve your own meals.
Yeah,
You can go
exactly.
talk to the cook and everything. Like, who the fuck's this guy? He's all coming back to get food. Please get this guy out of here. Security!
Security.
I mean,
Or you're just like
I always wanted to work. What?
no, you smack the phone out of their hand. You're like, fuck this. Flip the table. I'm out of here.
Got your shit in bounds.
Yeah.
Fuck this place anyways.
Fuck this place
Burn
anyway.
this shit down.
Walk out of the
Look at
restaurant.
it. Before you look at it and burn this shit down.
Like that guy in Office Space. Like that was the last straw.
Yeah. Hey, I always did want to work in another country though, like in a restaurant or something, because you would have met so many people. That's why. If I would have stayed somewhere, I would have for sure.
Well, and when you start working in a different country, if you work at a place like, for example, in a hotel or a restaurant, you find out that the people, because it's like, for example, if you work in a hotel where most of the guests are international guests, you realize that those people are they're not always, but I would say that they're a little bit nicer because they're coming to a different country, and then they act
they
a
know
little
what
bit
to
different.
expect, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense.
Yes, and then
That's crazy.
and they're nicer, and then you can talk to them, and if they have a problem, you can work the issue out, because there's always problems. There's always problems that happen, if their food is wrong or the reservation is off or something, but you can talk to them a little bit differently.
Yeah, no, that's good though. Oh yeah, because you worked in that hotel, so you know.
Yeah, so there was always problems.
Steve, come over here and deal with all the problems. It's like, oh, what?
Yeah, it was something like that. It was like there was like a situation where there was like people from New York, right? And at the time there was like the receptionist she was from Africa, right? So she doesn't know, and then she immigrated to Czech Republic, so she doesn't know Americans in that way, right? And so she was like she was dealing with some couple from New York, and they were like yelling, and then she was like, just stop, right? She stopped the conversation, and she was like, Steve, hey, you're American, right? And I go, yeah, kind of. And she goes, she goes, I have a couple from America. Maybe you can help them. I said, I don't know what they want. I don't want to deal with them. And so she was like, yeah, but you know the USA, right? And I go, yeah, I know it. But so anyway, so I go and talk to them, and I said, oh, where are you from? They were like yelling at me, like, who's this guy? Who are you? So like, oh, I'm Steve. And they were like, oh, Steve. Oh, where are you from? I said, oh, I'm from California. And they said like, oh, we're from New York. I said, okay, yeah, great. What's the problem?
Yeah, calm them
down. Yeah, calmed them down only for the fact that they met somebody from their own culture, I guess, at that point. And I don't know, the issue was something like they didn't have enough towels in the room. And I said, okay, well, we'll hook you up with like 7 towels,
Dang, it was that big of an issue though, huh?
I guess. I don't know. Something like that. It was something, I don't know if that was the issue, but it's something so small. I forgot what it was, but it was something like that. So they said like we don't have enough towels, so I told the housekeeping bring them like 20 towels, and so then they were happy. And then the next day they came down and they were like, oh, we had like too many towels.
It's like, dude, I can't please you guys enough. It sounds like
Yeah,
typical Californians are typical American. It's like,
yeah. I doubled the amount of towels that you had in your room, overcompensated.
and now you're complaining.
Yeah. But it was okay. We yeah,
Yeah.
it was. Then they left the next day, so it was not a big deal. But some kind of these issues, you know.
Probably met a lot of interesting people in hotels.
Oh yeah, there was this one guy. There was this one guy at the hotel that he would come. I would say every 2 months or something like that. He came from, I guess he came from Vietnam, and and it was odd because his nickname was Charlie, and you know, back in the Vietnam War, when the U.S. was fighting in the Vietnam War, that the nickname for people that were in the Vietnamese army was Charlie, but his nickname was Charlie, right? Coincidentally, and and he would stay for like 2 weekends every month, right? And he would just stay in his room the whole time, right? But didn't at first I didn't understand it, what was going on the first time he stayed, but the second time I understood. And the second time was there was this lady that came in, right? And she was uh, said, "Hey, I'm looking for this guest named Charlie." And oh, he's in let's say room 15, right? So she went up to room 15, and an hour later she would leave, and then like in 20 minutes another lady would come into the lobby and ask, "Hey, I'm looking for a guest named Charlie." Oh yeah, he's in room 15. Be up in the room for about an hour, and then she leaves, and then I would say an hour later a new lady comes in and says, "I'm looking for a guest named Charlie." And so basically the whole weekend would be like a sex weekend for him.
Dude, what the hell?
Yeah, he would
That's
just be
weird.
hiring escorts for the whole weekend.
Ugh. You had to clean his bedroom?
No, not me. I didn't touch that place.
You'd be like, fuck that.
I would be like, send the housekeeping.
Full body suit, fucking toxic spray, fucking let's burn the sheets and fucking get a new bed.
Yeah, dude, a fucking hazmat suit to go and do that.
So I'm saying you got the still.
Yeah,
Like I see the
that.
shit moving on the wall, dude. What is that in the bed?
Taking the fucking UV light, dude.
Oh man! Like, dude, we gotta burn these. We gotta burn these sheets. It's just disgusting. It's like all over it.
Yeah. We there's semen everywhere. We have to.
Oh, that'd be so great. It's even on the walls. Well, we gotta get out of here. Yeah, you're all stepping on the floor, then you're.
Oh, the bottoms of your shoes are all sticky. Like, wish me luck, boys. I'm going in.
Oh man, dude.
Oh, man, it was so gross.
You said every hour. How many girls went during the day?
I would say at least 7 per day.
Dude, that's crazy. That full hour 7 times a day.
Dude, I mean, I think his male enhancement pills must have been working like really well that he would be able to handle something like that.
Something like that.
Something like that, man.
Shooting blanks all day.
I don't think those escorts would appreciate that either.
Honey, I'm pregnant. Who the fuck are you? Yeah, I was just there last week.
He comes back to the hotel next month. He's like, "I'm pregnant." Oh, I don't remember who you are. Get out of here.
It looks like they'll have the baby and stuff.
Yeah, she takes like she has the ultrasound and she goes, "Oh, it looks like you're Charlie. It's your features." Nope, nope. I have no recollection of who you are. Get out of here.
It's like not even that. Look at the baby's Mexican. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Well, it doesn't have to be Mexican. It could be whatever that they are. That's funny.
Yeah, she says
Look,
like, "Hey,
look, he even has chin hairs. I don't have a hair on my face."
She names the baby some Vietnamese name, and see, it's Vietnamese. It has to be your son. No, I'm not Vietnamese.
Like, who the fuck is that? I don't even speak that language. It's like, oh man, you told me I'm gonna get you. I watched a crazy ass fucking videos. One of like the big like CEOs or something like used to be back in the day, like Rockefeller. Remember all that, like Jay-Z and all that.
Yeah.
You remember Dane Dash? Do you know who that is?
No, who is Dane Dash?
He was like he owns a record label company, but he was involved like back then. He was just like a big. He wasn't a rapper. He was just like always. And I watched a video where this lady tried to rob him. It was like not his housekeeper, but she did work for him, and he like helped her out. So one day he told her like, go get whatever you need, what you need for the project. So she goes and spends fucking $5,000, if not more, and buys like all these Apple products and everything. And he's like, what do you need 2 of these for? And like all this. She was trying to rob him, dude, and he caught her. That's crazy, dude. What's wrong with that lady?
That's crazy, dude.
She's like, I wasn't trying to rob you. He's like, well, then why did I tell you to go get what you need? Come back with all this shit. What is all? You don't need all this. He's like, get out of here, dude. Get out of my house. And then she starts yelling and shit. He's like, take that energy and get out of my house. He's like, I'll send me your address and I'll send you the stuff. So I'll pack up all your stuff. It's fucking funny, dude. But it's like, dude, people are crazy. I'm trying to rob. You never fucking bite the hand that feeds you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
And then she made it out like she's the victim, like,
Always have.
You're like, no, I wasn't trying to rob you. I just need these Apple products.
Well, I'm just gonna use them in another 3 days,
Yeah, fuck that.
People always do that. That's what that lady did with my dogs. Trying to fucking when her dog attacked my dog, my girl dog, but my girl dog fucked her up. Then fucked the other dog up. Then that lady was trying to say my dog attacked there. You pay for it, shit. What the fuck are you talking about? You're crazy. Yeah, my mom saw it too. It's like, dude, you're crazy, lady.
Was she trying to collect insurance?
No, she was trying to have me pay for the vet bill, but that wasn't even the thing. This was the weird thing, right? So we're going down the trail, and if she really was so evident and she wanted to pursue that so bad, why didn't she do it when it happened? This was the next day that she did that shit. She was like looking for us or something. Pulled up. When me and my mom were walking downtown with the dogs, she hops out of the car all crazy and is like, you're going to pay for the vet bill, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, no, not your fucking dog attacked mine. My dog fucked your dog up. Like, that's just what it is. They were both off leash. And my dog had the collars, which is a shock, electric, and a vibrate one. I don't even have to electric it or like use the electric button anymore. I just vibrate it, and they'll come back or whatever. And fucking, so she had nothing, dude. Her dog just straight charged my dog. And my dog stopped to assess the situation and then got the other dog, And, why did they pursue it then or follow us down and try to tell us to make us pay it in? And they wait till the next day. It must have not been because she said she was taking the dog to the vet that day, which was the next day. But they were on their way to take it. She's like, you're going to pay for the bill. Fuck no, I'm not. My mom was going to bill from mom, don't talk to her, let's go, because you're not going to talk any sense into that person, you know what I'm saying? And so then we leave, and then this across the parking lot, she fucking, her husband drives her over to where we're at, and she hops out running with her phone. She's like, I'm going to record you guys, and I'm going to get you in the newspaper up here, and blah, blah, blah. So I just kept walking, and then my mom had to say something. That was it, dude. But my buddies live up there, so I asked them, did you hear anything? No, really, it's crazy. But it's just crazy that you try to turn the whole situation around. Think all like my mom was there. Because think if it was just me and it was those two older people, fuck, they probably would believe those people over me, and those people live up there.
That's oddly specific behavior that somebody's gonna follow you and try to record you and try to get some kind of money out of you when it wasn't even it was not even like a provoked attack or anything like that against that other dog.
The dog charged mine, dude. She fucking, I've seen it before because this happened before where the other dog sees your dog and then they just charge. They don't stop. Their owner tries to grab them. They don't stop. They just charge. I've seen it like 2 or 3 times now because it happened. I was at Puddingstone with my boy dog and my girl dog, and I'm riding the bike, and this fucking lady, dude, older lady comes in the morning early, but I always go early too, and I ride at night, and fucking she has her 2 dogs off leash, same shit, dude. The dog this was the first time I seen it, but I already knew because I'm familiar with dogs, and I'm like working with mine every fucking day, and like I see other dogs the way they act. You just start to get it, you know. You watch stuff, you put it together. Well, this dog straight charged my boy dog, dude. And my boy dog held it down. He's not even a fighter. He held it down, though. He didn't have one scratch on him, but he got like the other dog. I don't know what he did to the other dog. But I was pissed, dude, because they both pulled me off the bike, and thank God I didn't let my girl dog get the other dog because she would have fucked it up. And it was just bad. And the lady was apologizing and shit. I'm like, dude, why do you have your fucking dogs off? Like, it just doesn't make sense, dude. It's not a fucking dog park, and it's like most people's dogs. You really can't trust your dog anyway. So, like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? If they see like a squirrel or something, they're taking off.
It's odd that if you have your dogs on a leash and you're walking or you're riding your bike somewhere, and then you meet somebody whose dogs are not on their leash, and their dog.
Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's like it's fucked up because how are you supposed to? You can't control your dogs. Your dogs can do whatever they want when they're off their leash, right? It's almost like they're free to do whatever they want, and then they go, and even if they come up and sniff your dogs when your dogs are on the leash, it's like get the dogs away from my dogs because you don't know what's going to happen.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That I know. I don't. It's like they always fucking. They're not always aggressive. Chill. My boy dog's chill. He's like cool with other dogs. My girl, not so much. She's gotten 100% better, but I don't know, man. It's very. People's dogs. It's because their dogs aren't fucking trained. If your dog doesn't listen to you, like I said, most you work with them every day, and you're a trainer and stuff like that, and you work with your dog every day like that, they're not going to listen, man. If they see another dog or something, they're going to want to go play or whatever they're going to do. I just know that for a fact.
Yeah, because dogs are curious animals. They like to, they're social. So whether they're going to attack the other dog or they just want to meet that other dog in some way, either by sniffing or they might not attack it. They might attack the other dog, but they like to sniff. They're social, so they like to meet each other. And then from then, you don't know what's going to happen, whether they're going to like each other or not like each other.
I'm saying when they take a deadbolt fucking sprint for your dog, that's kind of weird, you know?
Yeah, because if you see a dog that's going right towards your dog at a full sprint, you don't know if that dog is gonna like stop and then just sniff your dog and meet as a friend, or that dog is really going after your dog and to attack it. You know.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But I got dog spray, so it's over now. I've already used it on one dog. It's funny. It's like a charm.
Yeah. You just get the other dog to stop.
No, I got pepper spray for dogs.
Pepper spray for dogs.
Yeah, dude, it works good. I used it. Fucking this dog down the street kept chasing me when I go to 7-Eleven to grab something. So I was like, I'm gonna try this shit out and see if it works. And it shoots like a perfect. And I shot it right in his eye, and this fool stopped and never chasing me again after that. I had to because he was on the bike, and I didn't want to keep fucking looking ahead and looking back to if this fool's gonna catch up to me to bite me, you know what I mean, or whatever he was gonna do. So I had to put him in check. So I was like, if I spray him one time, I bet you he'll never fucking chase me again. He'll never chase me again.
Yeah, you gotta check that fool, man.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to be a dick. I had to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like annoying, right? You're riding on your bike, and then like some dog is trying to chase you, and then you just got to put it in its place, man. Boom, spray it.
It makes me laugh at first, but then it's like, oh, shit, he's catching up. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Plus, even if the dog doesn't want to attack you and it's just chasing you, the dog is gonna get lost eventually anyway. So might as well just like stop that
This dog
behavior.
chills right here. You would not even believe what this dog does, dude. It's out of like a movie. This dog fucking, it like his owners just let it run outside and they leave their front gate open. And so he just goes in every night to sleep at home, but usually he's out playing with some other stray dog down the school. Will
Right.
go from the top of the block all the way down to the bottom to play with that dog, and then they'll be out all day chilling, and he bones her and shit. And then he goes back home, and she goes back wherever, and then they meet up again the next day. They're always out and about. This was always cruising, dude. That's the dog that chased me. This little small white dog.
Well, that's
So funny, dude. I've seen this fool hit it. I've seen him hit it down the street. It was all hit. It was so funny. You know, my name was cool.
the neighborhood,
You laugh.
the neighborhood gangster, man.
Guess so, but they never fucking like wash him or anything. It kind of sucks.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's all grimy.
Well, he runs that street, you know. It's his territory.
I guess so, dude. Not playing around, that's for sure.
He don't mess around, especially when he's got his ladies.
You want to know what he's called?
What's he
What we
called?
call him?
Yeah,
Scruffy.
Scruffy.
Perfect.
That's a perfect name for him. That's a good name.
What's up, Scruff? That's what I say when I see him sometimes.
Yeah. What up, Scruff? He looks at you like, yo,
Look at me. Yeah.
I'm on my way to my lady.
Yeah, that's cool. Just don't ever chase me again.
Yeah, exactly. So when you travel, do you try to taste or eat the food of the country?
You do. Oh, yeah, always, yeah. Usually it's bomb. Usually you can at least find something.
Yeah, do you think it's a good way to kind of interact with the local culture of the country that you're visiting?
Yeah, for sure. What, go to dinner or something?
Yeah, exactly. And trying to like the local cuisine or something like that. Like, don't go to McDonald's all the time, or
No, heck yeah, no. You gotta go out and get the real authentic food that in the country that you're at.
right? Don't you feel like you get like most out of the experience of traveling? Like if you like go, for example, if you go to Greece and you eat Greek food, for example, you get more of the experience of the country rather than if you just have like a sandwich from Subway or anything like that.
I would say so. Even if but not all the time unless you go to the major cities, do they offer that? You might have to eat somewhere like that you don't know.
But sometimes it's good, right? Like if you're in a different country and you're like, oh, you want to eat something comfortable from the country that you know. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
Where is your where is your like destinations that you would like to like travel to? What are some of the destinations that you would like to go to?
Just the next one I got on my list is Portugal.
Portugal.
Yeah, Portugal. That's the next one.
Yeah, Portugal would be sick, man.
I think it'd be super great.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Like where
Oh, yeah.
specific in Portugal?
Madeira.
Madeira.
Yeah, I always wanted to go there, dude. Before it got all fucking big now and stuff, I always wanted to go because Ronaldo is from there, and
Yeah,
like
that's
not just because of that, but then I realized like how beautiful the country is, and I was like, dude, that's right.
Madeira's sick, man. That small island off of Portugal.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, have you ever seen the airport in Madeira? Have you
I have not.
Yeah, have you seen some of the landings?
Uh-oh.
No, Madeira. Well, the way Madeira was is situated on the airport, right? It used to be smaller, but then they had to extend the runway because it was too small. But it gets so windy there at Madeira that it looks like the planes are like tilting, and then they land okay. Everybody lands okay, but it's very windy and it's really popular to look up on YouTube, like Madeira landings or Madeira takeoffs, because the way that it's situated, it gets really windy.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, but I was looking at Madeira too, man. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, but how much does it cost for you to fly there? It's like 30 grand on a trip from here to there.
To Madeira, yeah, it's expensive. Even from here, it's expensive because it's like a island destination.
'Cause I remember I looked in Spain, I was gonna go. Or no, not there. When I was in Germany, I was gonna try to go, but I was like, dude, 2 grand.
Yeah, it's
I was gonna go for
expensive,
my. I was gonna go for my birth. I was gonna go for my birthday.
but it would be definitely a good trip.
Yeah, that should be so.
Yeah, it'd be so much fun, man. You can rent a car and you can go for parties. It'd be cool, man, to go there. And
Well, you
and
could rent. You could rent a car with your license.
yeah, for sure. You just need a license, and then you can just rent a car and travel around the whole island or anywhere you want to.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Cristiano Ronaldo has a museum right on the seaside. I'm looking up a map of Funchal, or Funchal is a city, but the Madeira.
It's probably blown up so much so because of him. He's made it more known. I would say.
Do you think more tourists go there because of the popularity of Cristiano Ronaldo?
So
Yeah, I would think so too. I think that's a good thing and a bad thing.
yeah, you're probably right.
Like for the locals, for the people who live on the island, like permanently.
Yeah, no, it's because maybe some people don't want that traffic.
Yeah, exactly.
They
Like
want
it's cool that
like.
that Cristiano Ronaldo's there. He made it popular, right? And tourists are going there, but it's probably like I'm looking at it, Sao Martino, the big city where the museum's located. I'm sure the traffic might be overwhelming for the locals.
Oh yeah, I would assume so too. Some of them probably definitely don't like it, but that's just how it goes too. Especially bring more
Yeah,
attention to a pretty place like that.
yeah, exactly. Well, it's not his fault that he's one of the best footballers in the world, right?
Well, also like some it was gonna probably get more more publicity or be noticed more eventually. Anyways, like I said, you can't hide that stuff.
No, I mean when you reach that, I mean Cristiano Ronaldo is basically a celebrity at this point, right? So I
Yeah,
think,
right.
yeah. So if he's up at that celebrity status, I mean, people are gonna go and find out. You know, his history becomes more public.
That's what he was saying. Next, he wants to do movies after football.
What does he want to do after football?
Movies, but they all do that
Movies?
shit. Yeah.
Well, I wonder what kind of. I can imagine Cristiano Ronaldo as the new James Bond.
I don't think so. I don't know. Yeah, that'd be interesting. What would he do?
Well, I'm sure he would do like first there would be like lots of documentaries about him, right? Like he would do all those documentaries and interviews and inside information, you know.
Mhm.
And then once he got out of those ways, he'd probably do like those like summer romantic comedies, like girl
Yeah,
falls
that'd be funny.
girl falls in love with boy at the beach in Madeira, and it's
Yeah.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
With 12 pack. Takes off the shirt. See my abs? What? You see my abs? No,
You see
I'm
my
not looking.
abs?
Why'd you take your shirt off, buddy? Why did you take your shirt off again? There's a funny part in the fucking This Irishman. This guy's telling it's a new movie with like Al Pacino, or I think so, or is it Al Pacino? Oh, with the old school guys like Robert De Niro. That's who it is.
Yeah.
It was this guy telling him like, okay, go pick up my money from this guy or whatever. Go get this information. And he's like, but don't look at the guy's ears. You know, he had bigger ears and he got them reduced or something. So he had surgery. So the guy going over there and he's like, these guys are pretty gangster. So they're, they talk with accent like, like the Boston accent and all that. And then
Yeah.
the guy, he's like, the last thing he says before he's gonna go, he's like, you looking at my ears? And he's like, what? He's like, you looking at my ears? And he's like, not looking at your ears. I was never looking at your ears. But the way he said it, he like paused and like he wasn't looking at his ears, and he paused and looked at him like dead serious. It was like, I was never looking at your ears. Like it was just the way he said it was so funny, dude.
Yeah.
You have to watch The Irishman. But the guy was just kind of like, what?
Yeah, that looks like a really good movie. I have to go check it out, man.
It's pretty good.
So you're like, are you looking at my abs? You know, like, you want to dry your clothes on my abs or what? You know.
Yeah, start looking at it. Why are you looking at it? I hate when people stare. No, not as much anymore. But it's like you keep staring. It's like, dude, what are you making me feel uncomfortable? Why do you keep staring at me? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that uncomfortable stare. Like they're just like.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to be uncomfortable in some place that I'm going to have a good time or something that's just fucking staring at me. Why the fuck are you doing that, dude?
Yeah, you're like having a cup of coffee and somebody's like oddly staring at you. You're like, what the hell, man? I'm just here for coffee.
I'm cute. You want to talk to me? What's up?
You want to go on a date?
I'm not gay, buddy. Stop looking at me.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
go.
say that, but it's just like I have happened specific. I just like, what are you looking at? I'm like, why are you looking at me?
Yeah, why are you staring at me? You see somebody staring at you, like, yeah, I know I'm good looking. Have a good look at me. Then go about your day. Like, yeah, people are crazy. I can only imagine. It must be wild to be somebody like that, like everybody wants to get a picture with you or autograph or, it must be wild.
Some people probably get super sick of it. Some people will probably just whatever about it, and some people will like it, we're at peace with it, and some people will like it. Like Ronaldo probably likes the attention,
Sure, because of his kind of personality.
Yeah. Messi not so much, you know what I mean? I wouldn't think. He's just more like, I'm here to do my job, but he smiles and does his thing, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think he likes the celebrity part of it as much as Cristiano Ronaldo likes the celebrity part of it.
No.
Yeah.
They're just two different.
Yeah, exactly. Two different people. And I saw this YouTube video. This is so strange, man. Like I was watching people waiting outside. So Arsenal had just finished a match at the Emirates Stadium, right? And and the video was showing people like standing outside of the parking garage and waiting for the players to drive their cars out of the stadium to go home, And I thought that was so strange that people were waiting for these. I get it. I get it that they want to see their like because they are celebrities. I mean, I know they're footballers, but they're celebrities as well. And they're coming out and they're like, "Oh, that's Aubameyang's car. Oh, that's Lacazette's car. Oh, that's you know Petr Cech's car." At that, Petr Cech doesn't play anymore for Arsenal, but at the time, and it was like, but I was like, wow, that's weird. I couldn't do that. I just went to go see the match. I want to go home. I don't care where they're coming from underneath the stadium.
I told you that Mo Salah rides his bike, or he's getting caught riding his bike to the game, and it's tight.
That's tight.
That's super down to earth.
Yeah, for sure. But I can only imagine
like Mo Salah, Salah.
the Egyptian king, and he's just riding his bike like da 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 into the stadium.
Yeah, he looked at him like, "What's up?" And then he just like kind of waved, and then just kept doing his thing. He was walking it. And he was just walking beside it, just fucking. He just rode his bike.
That's awesome, man. Like everybody's coming in their Ferraris, BMWs, and here's Mo Salah like do 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 do.
I already warmed up for the game. Yeah. How about you guys?
Yeah,
You guys
exactly.
are ready. That's hard.
That's gangster, man.
Mad respect for that.
Yeah, man. Can you imagine? Like he's like, hold up, I got to put my bike lock. I got to lock up my bike. Hold on.
Come back to TV.
Yeah, exactly. But that's respect, dude. Especially in a place like Liverpool, riding your bike and everybody knows you. Wow.
Yeah.
That's super dope.
That's too.
Yeah, well, it's also economically friendly, body friendly, and in a city where he's super popular. Oh, that's not easy.
Even better. No,
Exactly. Even better when people can recognize you and you're just riding your bike to the stadium. That's got to be awesome, man. There's 30,000 people in the stadium like chanting Mo Salah, Mo Salah, and he's just riding his bike like all chill into the stadium.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm here.
It's like I'm here. Yeah. That bicycle bell like ding 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 ding.
Too good, my friend.
Yeah.
Is it late over there?
Yeah, it's about 11 o'clock. So, yeah, pretty soon. So I think it's a pretty good time to wrap up the podcast for tonight.
On Wednesday.
Yeah, that sounds good. So thank you for being on the podcast, and I think I'll see you on another podcast on Wednesday, and so that will do it for another episode of tonight's podcast, and we'll catch you all in the next one.
Have a good one.
Yeah, have a good one, man.
I see that.